Hey guys, welcome to the last video of our exercise series for back training. Now this is deadlifts. This is the one that most guys you don't see in the gym doing at all. And look, I don't blame them because it's a hard exercise to execute and most guys feel it in their lower back. They say, oh Lynn, my lower back kills too much. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you're doing it wrong. Alright, so I'm just going to plant the bar down and the most important thing about a deadlift is setting yourself up for the lift. It's not the actual lift itself. Once you're up, you're already pulling through and the damage has been already done. If you set yourself up on the floor properly, which I'll show you in a second, you're going to set yourself up for success. Now, you have to think of your back right now as a floppy rubber beam, okay? It's a rubber pole. In a deadlift, you need to make it tight and turn it into a steel pole. So you need to engage your lats, you need to extend through your thoracic spine and your vertebral column to make everything arch so there's no bending, there's no floppiness to that. If there's floppiness, that's when you can risk injury. That's when you can get a bulge slip disc. That's when you can tear your muscles, okay? First things first, guys, come on over and let me show you. When you've got the bar set off to the ground, I talk about feet position. In a conventional deadlift, I take my feet a little bit narrower. A deadlift's a power movement, and the thing is, I want you guys to do this for me. If you're going to jump up as high as you can, what's your stance? Is it going to be out wider, or is it going to be more narrow? If I'm going to jump as high as I can, I want to take a more narrow stance so I can produce more force. Deadlift's a force producing exercise, okay? We want to produce maximal force with this lift, so my stance is going to be nice and narrow towards the bar. Now that we've got the stance, guys, it's how far do I stand away from the bar? You know, I see some guys just go in and they kind of pick the bar up like this. If you've done a little bit of engineering or you know, a bit of physics, you know that the further away from the bar I stand, the more torque I'm going to have on my lower back, which means I've got a moment arm now, and that's going to produce more torque, so my lower back has to, you know, work twice as hard, 5 times as hard to actually move the same amount of weight because it's further away from the bar, from my base of support. You want to bring the bar in as close to your base of support as possible so you're really efficient with this lift, okay? So what I get guys to do, come on closer with me and have a look at this. My feet's narrow, okay? My feet's really narrow. If you come on in and have a look, what I'll generally do, I've got my foot here. The bar is actually mid-foot for me, okay? That's when I can bend in and execute the lift. So, what I was telling you guys before, a lot of guys just stand here and they try to stand up, you're going to hurt your lower back. So for me, it's about mid-foot. Now I'm in closer, what I'll do is I'll pop my hands on and I'll just relax it there. Now, when I've got my hands on, guys, I need to, as you can see from here, my back's nice and rounded, okay? It's a floppy rod, it's a floppy pole. I need to make it into a steel beam. So I need to tighten up my lats and bend in towards the bar. Okay? What I'll get you guys to do is practice this movement. So I'm relaxed here. I've got this nice gap so I can bend in. Because if I have no gap, I can't bend into it. I can't get that extension through my back because there's no room to move, which is why I leave the bar about midway through your toes, okay? Your foot. So stance, hands on, tighten up the back, relax. Relax there again, okay? So this is a system that you're going to be using to execute the lift. It's a hard exercise and you need to make sure your back's nice and tight. You need to make sure your feet's nice and tight before you even lift off the floor. Okay, so we're going to practice this about 5 times. Okay, so just relax in here, midway through, bend in, tighten up. Relax. Bend in, tighten up again. Relax. Alright, once I've got that, then I'm literally pushing off the floor through my heels. I'm coming up through my knees and then driving with my hips forward, okay? You're gonna watch this lift and practice it. So the setup's the most important thing, guys. Hands on, tighten up, bump. Back down, drop. Relax, set up, tighten up, bump. Relax. Set up, tight, drive. The reasons why I give this setup is because when you do 10, 14, 15 repetitions, your back's going to get so pumped you're going to not know what's going on anymore. And so you've got a structure to work by. I use this with all my clients and it really has worked really well in terms of feeling their whole back and glutes work as opposed to injuring your lower back. Alright, you need to practice this really well, and if you're scared, then don't try it. Make sure you've got a coach there who can coach you. You want to make sure your hips are nice and back as well. okay? Because the further your hips go, you think about this, the further your hips go, the more force production you can get back. Imagine if you're pulling a bow and arrow, the further you pull that bow and arrow back, the further the arrow is going to go. It's exactly the same with your hips. So you're going to go right back with your hips, okay? So bend in, hips right back. Bang, in. So essentially I'm taking it right back here and I'm getting that force production through the hips. If you can practice that, and remember, tighten up your back as well. That's the most important thing. You want to change it from a rubber beam to a steel beam, okay? So set up, feet in close, hands on, leave a nice gap, go midway, bend into the bar, tighten the back, get the hips right back and execute the lift. It's a really hard exercise, guys, and once again, you know, it's not like you're bent over row where it's just structure and pull. It's really you got to get your biomechanics right. You really have to have really good proprioception with your body. You have to understand what it feels like to drive your hips back. And lastly, you can't be having any pain with this. If you have pain in your back pain, or if you have really tight hamstrings, you need to nut all of these things out before you can execute this lift. Okay, but if you're fine, then go and practice this lift. Look, I've only got 30 kilos on the bar, and when I'm tight under the bottom, it feels like I'm really trying to cause a lot of pressure. So my face kind of bottles up with all that pressure that I'm about to go, and I stay tight and I drive through the hips. So it's pulling that back with the bow and arrow and getting that horizontal force through the glutes right in there and squeezing back through the shoulder blades, of course. All right, I hope that helped. Go give that a practice. We'll cover a few things a bit later on, all right? If you haven't joined our 21-day coaching program as well, get on board to that, where we coach you, we show you how you should be training to get leaner, we show you what you should be eating, and obviously what supplementations, and we pretty much coach you for 21 days, guys. So definitely, it's free as well. So get on board now, just click the link down below. Thanks.